Pardon me, folks. Sergeant Friday, your Ass Hurts News Network with a message to Mr. Gonzalez, true crime streamers, on the Idaho4 case. I hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. This is July 8th, 11:30 a.m., 2024. And I'm going to share some data with you in hopes that maybe more of you will start picking this up and paying attention to things a little differently. I'm just absolutely burnt out. And I think you as viewers should be burnt out as well. Burnt out on the chaos and all of these different theories of reflections in videos and people being peed on, tunnels. Central scrutinizers, manhole covers, reflections, videos from this, that, the other, Banfields, grub trucks, frats, and Aryan nations, and all of the happy horse shit that you're being fed from what people consider themselves to be true crime creators. The only thing they create is a bunch of bullshit theories that have about as much chance of being proven true as the sky falling this afternoon at 12:45. Okay. I don't know how it is the viewers get so wrapped up and so engaged in trying to solve a crime with their cell phone or desktop or laptop computers that they're never going to be able to solve from the locations they're looking for. And yet you all just want to wallow around in the filth and the thoughts and the chaos and the theories. Meanwhile, the biggest theory of all is the entire case. This entire case should be withdrawn. This entire case should be dismissed. This entire case has collapsed on its own. And nobody wants to discuss that. The same thing with Karen Reed. How dare the people that represent justice bring a case like that? How about the Giglio case or Gilgo case, whatever you want to call it up in New York or wherever that happened? 10 years of corruption prevented them from finding the murderer. 10 years. How many women died during that period of time? Why aren't those police? Why isn't that state? Why aren't they being held accountable? Aren't those people losing their jobs and their pensions? And with the Koberger case, a case based on a wild theory that's provably unsubstantiated, cannot be proven to be true, been completely proven to be false. In the probable cause affidavit, which was then used to not just arrest and charge a guy with 4 of the most brutal, horrific homicides that no parent should have to wake up and find their kid be a part of, ever. In a case where everything the police alleged has been proven to be false. In that kind of a situation, folks, this is what we should be paying attention to. It's those people we should be talking about. It's everybody that had their hand in this case, their background, their histories, their casework, their previous casework, what they do, what they don't do, who they hang out with, what. That's what we should be paying attention to. Those are the people that deserve your ire. These are the people that earned your attention. Okay? The idea that you're going to solve this case with your cell phone because you saw something at the grub truck makes you more stupid than stupid. Stupid don't want to even be associated with people that do this. It's insanity, folks. You got one guy running around telling you there were tunnels under the house, who then conveniently vanished for weeks once it was revealed that there were no tunnels under the house because the house was torn down and proved it. And then the guy just, I could go on and on and on about all of you streamers out there that are doing this bullshit to get money. Okay? Profiting from the horrific events that took place. Meanwhile, more and more horrific events are happening right before your eyes. And you're not wanting to talk about it at all. You just ignore it. And you're going to argue about it. You're going to stand there, well, there was DNA. You're going to make these stupid arguments, okay, that support what appears to be an inept, ignorant, or criminal act by the state of Idaho against Brian Koberger. Nobody wants to talk about that. Now, I will give true what's her name there? That girl Lana with that beep. Lana, you better fix that beep, honey, or have me come over. I'll get that out of your house. Okay? I have no other reason to see it but to get that noise off your stream. All right, honey? So back to the topic. Mr. Gonzalez, my deepest sympathies. I have no concept and don't want to have any concept of what you and the other families are going through. And I mean, I'm honest. I'm telling you that it's just how I am as a person. I call the shots the way I see them, and if I'm wrong, I accept being wrong, and I learn from being wrong. That's the power of being wrong. Being wrong is the most powerful thing you can be because you can learn something. And that's somehow just lost on the minds of the world. The people in the world, all 5.62 billion of you morons that get on the internet, somehow don't seem to understand that simple concept. Being wrong is the first step towards being educated. Let me get on with some of these points. These points that I think folks should make everybody feel outraged, and especially the survivors of these victims. So let's just go over what I can go over without referring to any notes, but which are imminently verifiable. If you were to spend a little time and look at the court case where Brett Payne testified, and look at the court case where the state trooper testified on cell phone data, just look at those two hearings. How about the court case that came forward with the jury survey? These are the three cases, folks, that have destroyed the PCA unequivocally. They've not just set it up and burned it. They've then taken the ashes, okay, and put them in a particle accelerator and destroyed them. So let's go over what they pointed out to us. We now know without doubt that the cell phone locations used for them to determine Mr. Koberger's location are inaccurate. At best, they're a guess. At best. At best, they're a guess. An accurate guess, because they do show Brian Koberger's phone pinging off certain cell towers. But not in any of those instances can they give you the exact location of the ping. They give you an about, an approximation. And in fact, without any question, not one single ping places him at the property. Not one. All the other pings are supposed to be in support of their theory that he killed these four victims. So let's now understand that there is no cell phone data connecting Koberger to the home at all. That issue is dead. Issue number 2. The PCA states that suspect vehicle 1 drove in that area, did a 3-point turn, came back, parked behind the building somewhere, and then at 4:20 a.m. got in the car and drove away at a high rate of speed. False. False. In fact, every one of those actions 100% did happen. Every single movement that's stated in the PCA actually did happen. With this caveat, they always knew that that car was an 11 to 13. And Brian Koberger's car is a 14 to 16, specifically a 2015. So without question, we now know that the PCA's allegation of suspect vehicle 1 being the vehicle used to commit the crime, being the vehicle used that Koberger exited to commit the crime, being the vehicle used that he re-entered to leave the crime, is in fact not Brian Koberger's car at all. There's no statement that he traded cars with somebody or that he got a different car that night. There's nothing. And now we know that that car and that PCA can't be Brian Koberger. That's a fact. These are issues, folks, serious issues, and how your justice system is carrying out its work. And I'm not accusing intentional malfeasance. I'm not saying corruption, although I did just use that word. But I'm saying these people have got to be stupid, under some kind of pressure to produce some kind of result. Okay? And or whatever else it could be. So let's stop here and review. What do we know now? We know now that Koberger's phone and all of the tracking of that phone have nothing to do at all that could have any relevance to the crime scene at all. No relevance whatsoever. 1. Point 2. Brian Koberger and his 2015 Elantra have absolutely no relevance to this crime at all. Those are unequivocal facts stated by the actual police people that put together the warrant that made statements that he was the person. Let's move on. What else do we know? We know that this data was used to obtain warrants. These allegations in the probable cause affidavit, whether it's Exhibit A out of 40 exhibits, it doesn't matter. Exhibit A or Exhibit 1 is always going to be part of a process. What we're not seeing in the PCA, for those of you running around thinking that there's other secret information that we don't know about. Yeah, it's the autopsies and other particulars about the victims. I guarantee you the victims, the condition of the rooms, the blood splatter, the location of all of that is in the PCA, but we're not seeing it. That's what's being withheld from you. There isn't something in the PCA that says there's a picture, an 8.5 by 11 picture of Brian Koberger posing with a mask with his eyes lit up. No, there's nothing in the PCA that says we got him on video walking from JoJo Boulevard. No. If there is more of the PCA, folks, but it's obvious what is not being shown to you. It isn't some deep, dark, secret piece of evidence that shows he's guilty. If it was, it would have been put in the application, and these other bullshit stories wouldn't be in the application for warrants. Why would you put bullshit in there? Somebody had said, well, they don't want everybody to know the truth. You can't arrest me and charge me with 4 homicides on a lie. You can't put that stuff in legal file documents that went to a judge that signed off on warrants to search me, and it was a lie. Are people this stupid? Do you really think that you could put out to the public legal documents that were signed and followed up by officers in a court and their lies to cover the... I don't really want to get into that debate, but if you think that, you're wrong, okay? And this is a great part for you to go learn something new, because you're wrong. It doesn't work like that, folks. So we've eliminated the cell phone. We've eliminated the car. And in eliminating them, we now know that other warrants were issued based on these false allegations. Another false allegation we know is false is that Brian Koberger canvassed that area, spied on that area, stalked that house. When I say area, let me be more specific. That Brian Koberger surveilled that house, stalked that house, okay, in 12 previous trips. Complete lie. Not true at all. Not true, and we know it's not true because both the judge and the prosecution stated that there is no stalking of Brian Koberger, that property, or the victims at all. They said that in the courtroom, folks. Not me. It's not me making shit up. Go watch the hearings. Go watch the hearing on 3 hearings that you want to watch. One of them is the jury survey. The other one is a second one about the cast. And the third one is about the PCA with Brett Payne. That's where this information's coming from, right from the horse's mouth. So now what do we have? We have the story of him stalking or surveying or planning the crime by driving around the area. That's false, unverifiable, unprovable, didn't happen. His car being the car used in the crime scene, unverifiable, unprovable, actually provable that it wasn't his car, it was someone else's. His pings, unverifiable, unprovable, and completely exonerates Mr. Koberger as far as being in the home. It's exculpatory. So what else do they have, folks? Because here's the catch-22, and this is why you should go after them, Steve. The catch-22 is that in at least 2 of these 3 hearings, or in at least 3 of many hearings, the judge and the prosecution have both stated with no ambiguity that no IgG and no DNA was used to obtain the warrants or the arrest. So now what? What did you arrest the guy on? And that's what we all should be focusing on as streamers. Not this other bullshit argument about tunnels like that TikTok drip drop dude or some new dudes out there. Oh, it was the Banfield boys and I can prove it. Or many others that are talking about, like Tommy Jude, the reflections in asphalt. People peeing on Ethan's face. Nasty bastard to say something like that. I won't even talk to him or get anywhere near where that guy is. And then Bubbly Waters with her bullshit stories and so many others. And you all of you flock to listen to these people's stories. Meanwhile, the truth of the case is completely fucking ignored. You guys act like the truth don't matter. Here you have a now almost, if at least he might be a 30-year-old man that's been in jail for 19 months. A man that he's been vilified every fucking even this Blum, this jerk off Blum, has put things in books that have been proven in court to be false. And he's publishing books and he's making money. And you guys are no better than Blum. Especially the ones of you that attack Blum and then you'll yet go out and create your own fucking theory based on information you're seeing off of video. You're no better than Blum. Steve, you need to ignore people like that. You need to pay attention to the case and how the case is being exposed and how what these people that are responsible for finding the culprit or culprits that created this horrific scene. What are they doing to catch them people? Because the irony in all of this is, Steve, based on what they've said, a probable cause hearing would have not. They would have dismissed the case against Kohberger. What I just shared with you, being brought before any judge in any state that has got any sense, would have immediately dismissed the case against Mr. Kohberger. You can't prove his location by pings. You can't prove his location by video. The car you claim is his, you now have told us isn't his, right? What's left? The DNA that you want to tell me is his, you obtained after getting warrants off of the first group of lies that you're telling me. So even if this kid did it, this case is going to fall apart because you got your information on lies. You made claims that can't be proven. You made claims that you yourself have provided information to show that they're provably false claims. And yet we as streamers don't want to pay attention to how critical this part of the information. That's why this guy Get a Clue. I want to bring up Get a Clue. I don't care what people think about me or think about others. I have my opinions of the guy. I don't know the guy, and I have my opinions. But he did come out with facts like I'm sharing with you now. I don't, I in a sense feel like him. This is one of the reasons why I got off of social media 4 years ago. It seems like the pertinent facts and the things that we can actually be a part of and do something about, we run from. I encourage Mr. Goncalves to sue the state, to sue every individual that's named in any of the warrants, any of the searches, any of the documents, any of the motions, anything. I encourage you to go after those people with legal action. How dare they misrepresent the data that they had collected? Now let's go a little further into this. Maybe they're just inexperienced. Well, they did this in another case. The same kind of bullshit where they accused a man of murdering a fellow chiropractor. Okay? Where they hid exculpatory evidence. Ann Taylor can't even get the video of the 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra that's in the PCA that they claim is Kohberger's and knew wasn't. She can't even get that video. How about the statement that she made that the video that they showed her, the images that the FBI relied upon to identify a 14 to 16 Elantra are from a vehicle going the wrong way at the wrong time on a different road. That's the images they use to identify the 14 to 16 Elantra. And I guarantee you, Kohberger's going to admit that's his car. I guarantee it. Mark my words. There's no reason for him to say it isn't. Just like Brian Kohberger, when they initially wrote the PCA, I got involved in true crime because I said that document is exculpatory. Brian Kohberger's proof that he was nowhere near that house is in the PCA, and the witnesses are the assholes that wrote it. Those are Brian Kohberger's witnesses. And what does Ann Taylor keep telling you? I need your documents. I need to know what your work was. I need to know how you came to these conclusions. I need to see the video. I need to see the cast. I need to see the work that went into the cast, not a screenshot of a result that you used at a grand jury. You didn't bring in your scientific data to show the placement of Kohberger's phone. You took a screenshot of a result that we don't know how you created. That's bad. And you know why you did that? Because you couldn't do it any other way. That's what Cy is going to point out. They didn't have the kid's phone. They didn't have any phone. They had a phone within a cell tower that serviced that home that showed Brian Kohberger's phone in use. Its exact location could not be determined within any reasonable amount of accuracy because they didn't have the phone. They couldn't triangulate. There weren't enough towers to triangulate. There's a whole bunch of things. And more importantly, the guy's phone wasn't reported to the network for 2 crucial hours that you interpret means he committed the crime. In fact, no, doesn't interpret it that way at all. In the PCA, it states either turned it off, put it in airplane mode, or it stopped reporting to the network. So in the PCA, you provide exculpatory data for the defendant. Is that what you're supposed to do when you accuse somebody of a crime? Is the judge supposed to fucking guess? How about the judge that signed that warrant? What kind of an inept idiot is that? There's three possible things that could happen with his phone. I'm sorry, Officer Jerkoff. I want to know the only one thing that pertains to this crime that phone did. That's how it's supposed to work. This is America, God damn it. No, let's not concern ourselves with that. Make big streams and go after the Idaho people involved with this. Let's not do any of that, streamers. Let's keep talking about Banfield boys and fucking video footage that reflects off a tree, you fucking twit, Tommy. Unbelievable how this has all gone downhill like this. Let's continue. What else do we know to be false? After using this bullshit to get warrants, you then use these warrants to search Brian Kohlberger's place of work, his apartment, his car, and his parents' residence. And the results of that fucking work, no connection, nothing. Not a hair follicle, not a hair from the dog, not a drop of blood, not a drip of, not even a microscopic skin cell is found amongst any of Brian Kohlberger's areas. Not even a skin cell, which is ironic. Because when you examine Brian's stuff, I promise you folks that these people were hazmated up. And they had the vehicle in a controlled environment. And they had a control as to who could go in and check the car. The same thing with the house when they do a forensics examination. And you found nothing? Yet these same idiots that had carte blanche to mingle with Kohlberger's personal stuff and found nothing associated to the crime, who were communicating with the news, and the news are coming out telling you that the car is going to be a petri dish, and the cops knew the whole time the fucking car and the video they had wasn't Kohlberger's. Come on, Steve. Come on, streamers. These are big issues. Can they come forward with something that corrects them? Honestly, I don't see how you can. Pardon me. That's the same thing with the Karen Reed case. Oh my God. The Gilgo case and many others, folks, where they perpetuate these stories where here's the worst outcome is that the guy did it, but the case is blown because these people would rather lollygag around and make up stories than do actual investigative work. And yet in the same breath, I want to say these very people have expressed to us how skilled they are and how determined they are. They interviewed hundreds of suspects. They buccal swabbed hundreds of suspects. They even surreptitiously followed an individual that was a suspect and obtained his cigarette filter to get a DNA from it without him knowing it. I mean, these people got skills, right? Where was any of that before you arrested Kohlberger? Where is it? What on God's green fucking earth allowed you to consider him as the doer when his car was nowhere near that house? I don't care what you say about cell phone pings. I don't care about videos that are shown miles away from the house. I don't give a fuck about none of that. You knew right from jump that wasn't his car. And yet you still did what you did. Listen, if there's a crime here, the crime has been exaggerated now to include the investigative division, the judges that sign these warrants. What kind of a judge would accept a warrant to arrest somebody? Look, I don't have an objection to you giving me 3 potential reasons this man's phone was not on during that period of time. I have no problem with that. I'm starting to sound like Foster Brooks. I'm sorry. But I want you to come back to the court and tell me which one of the 3 it was. And if you can't, then I don't want to even hear about it. But I will give you a warrant. In all fairness, I will give you a warrant to investigate to determine whether it was turned off, put in airplane mode, or simply went off network. I will give you a warrant to determine the truth of that. I will give you a warrant to determine the truth of your videos. I will give you a warrant to actually bring Mr. Kohlberger in and question him. I recommend you do that. First and foremost, let's start with that, Officer Jerkoff. Bring him in. Don't come to me for a warrant to charge him with 4 multiple homicide. 4 without any investigative work, just guesses. That's what got me involved. That's what I noticed immediately when I read these documents. And guess what? Ann Taylor has proven, not even Ann Taylor, the fucking police have proven, and the court has proven that their allegations are false. And here we sit. There was a stream on the other day. Some guy, he's newer to it, wears sunglasses and a winter cap, and he's telling you the Banfield boys did it. What a fucking moron! Unreal, people. Steve, I'm sorry for your loss and the other family's loss, but I'm telling you that the police, if you watch and you follow up what I'm sharing with you, look at those 3 hearings: the jury survey, the cast, and Officer Payne, the one before the last scheduling hearing. So the 3 hearings prior to this last hearing that was scheduling. Go listen to those hearings and watch how the PCA gets destroyed. And that's Lana, with that beeping, crazy beeping going on, she at least is focusing on that. She at least points to that. And I've been saying to people the whole time, that's all you should concern yourself with. And let's never forget that the justice system in this country is unique to this country. And therefore, there's certain rules and guidelines and regulations and processes that must be met. And that shit matters. And the way you guys have been trained to act like it don't matter. Oh, let's go see if we can figure out who did it through this cam that Huda of London is showing a picture of a phone. Let's go watch that. Are you fucking kidding me? Meanwhile, all the criminality that appears to have happened here by the authorities that you fucking pay get ignored. You don't want to talk about that. And you wonder why the authorities do what they do. You wonder why they do what they do. And they do what they do because you do what the fuck you do, which is you don't really want to hold anybody accountable. You don't really want to deal with the truth. You want to fucking avoid reality. And the truth of the matter in this case is Mr. Kohlberger, at this point in time, has no single substantial piece of evidence tying him to that crime. And for those of you fucking people that want to rest on the DNA, okay? If everything prior to that is a lie, is a misstatement, is incorrect, inaccurate, for whatever reason, how is it that you take an amount of skin cell, which is what microscopic transfer DNA, fuck calling it touch DNA, it's transfer DNA. You lose 500 million microscopic skin cells a day. If you could put on glasses that gave you the ability to see microscopically, we all look like Pigpen when we're walking around. You're spreading your DNA everywhere, folks. 5,700 skin cells drop off your body every second. So I don't want to hear about transfer DNA or touch DNA. You know what I want to hear about? Okay. Is the reason that you used Othram. Why go to Othram? And there's a couple of there's a big key reason for that. The biggest reason is Othram has what they claim to have proprietary software, which means only we have it. Nobody else in the world has this. Okay. And we can amplify a DNA sample as small as 8 microns. Okay. No one else on the planet can do that. Everyone else is 20 and above microns. And the more microns you have, the more accurate it is. It's well known that the smaller the sample, when you get down to the microscopic level, the less of a chance you have to identify anybody with it. And the identity that you do provide is not going to be nearly as accurate as if you had a true DNA sample: blood, semen, spit, hair, something substantial, which is true DNA testing. But you're taking microscopic skin cells, you're giving them to Othram, a lab with proprietary software that magnifies or amplifies whatever sample you gave them. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked about that. Let's just ask some fair questions. Did you have Kohlberger's name before you amplified this? Did you know who their interest, their suspect was? Okay. Whatever the answer may be, it's going to be. Okay, let me then ask this. If we give you 10 microscopic samples between 8 and 11 particles from 10 individual people unknown to you, will you be able to come back with 10 exact results that match the individuals that we took these samples from? because we have to have confidence in your proprietary software. So I think it's reasonable for everybody to demand that. You're claiming that as little as 8 microscopic particles can give you the ID of a complete human being. 8 microscopic particles. Okay, great. Good job. Here's 10. Here's 80 microscopic particles from around the country, unbeknownst to anybody but the person that gave it, okay, and the person that actually turned it in. Right? Now, give me the 10 identities of these people. Then and only then will I accept whatever scientific work they're doing. And also, in the last note about DNA, for those of you that don't know, brass is the worst material to put DNA on. A survivable sample on brass is under 4 hours. You must get to it under 4 hours. So let's look here. And now, good. A lot of you don't know this. Go look the shit up. You'll see that the old Sarge is telling you facts here. So, when did the crime happen? Between 4 and 4:30 a.m. Okay. When did the police get called? They got called at noon, 11:56 a.m. So we'll go 4:15 is fair, and we'll go 12. So you got 7 hours and 45 minutes between the actual crime and the arrival of the police. When did collections take place? Well, they didn't take place until after 5 p.m. when the lead investigator could be available as well as others. So now we got 12 hours and 45 minutes. Now, wait. We now got to transport this to a lab, the sheath to a lab, other evidence to a lab, which then has to take a swab and sample and test. How long would that take, folks? How many pieces of real evidence did they bring? Was the sheath the only piece of evidence collected from the crime scene? And even if it were, how long to collect, swab these samples and get them into a machine that could then separate the samples and do what they do to identify DNA? We'll call that another 12 hours. So how in the fuck did your DNA survive living on a brass buckle, on a brass button snap? How did it survive that process? Because brass is just so destructive to DNA, it's not even funny. You have to question what they're telling you. And the reason you have to question it, especially the DNA, especially that, is because everything preceding the DNA is a lie. Everything. I don't want to know why they did. I don't want to know their motive. I don't want to know nothing about nothing. I want to know what the facts are, folks. And the facts are highly exculpatory. And the facts that a lot of these people that we call guilters, well, they got his DNA. Yeah, well, you don't have any sense to look to learn what the DNA may or may not mean in this particular case. Transfer DNA, the handling of that particular DNA, the movement, the testing, the timing, the location it was found at, all of that is very important to transfer DNA. It's the most important points. And so if you're a guilter and you think, well, the DNA is enough for me, well, you're just a fucking moron. The fact the cops have told a story that can't be verified by any fact is an issue. And that to me is enough, I think, for you, Mr. Goncalves, to go after everybody tied to this particular case. To the letter, to the letter, every single person connected to this case should have suits brought against them. The state should have a suit. The town should have a suit. The dog catcher should have a suit because I'm sure he was there collecting the dog. Okay? And that's it for this stream, folks. And I really hope you streamers stop with this happy fucking horseshit that you're going to solve this case. You're going to come up with theories that are going to be, and pay attention and start going, take your powers and dig into the police involved in this case. Dig into the attorneys, dig into the judges, dig into the clerks, dig into the dog catcher, dig into everybody that's everybody in this case. And stop with this theorizing. It was the Banfield boys. It was the frat. It was the Aryan Nation. It was drug dealers. Shut the fuck up with that. You got a lot that you can actually do here. You can actually help. And you have a ton of interesting things to find out about the people that put this case together. Just what kind of people are they? Why do they get a pass? Why are you attacking the frat? Why are you going after the Aryan Nation? You're going after drug dealers. Why are you paying all your attention to that, but not the actual people to put together a case that's so horrifically fucked up that it shouldn't be a case? Why are those people getting a free pass? I ain't even going to say goodbye.